What's up? It's your boy Justin Vibes, and in this video we're going to talk about better practicing tips. If you want to practice faster, more consistently, without any injuries, you definitely want to watch this video. Now, how do you practice or play faster, more consistently, without any injuries? I can tell you it's one thing that you may not even think of. You actually have to play it slow. If you can play it slow, you can play it fast. Here's a clip of me playing the C major scale fast. And again. So you may say to yourself, well, the C major scale isn't really that challenging. And it may not be for many musicians. But you may have an excerpt that you're learning from your private lesson teacher or maybe from school that is very challenging, and it may be at breakneck tempos. But how do you actually play it fast? You have to start slow. That's the key. Start slow. So where do you start? So you're going to start with a metronome. You're going to need a metronome in order to play anything slow and play it consistently. Now, a good slow tempo to start around would be 65 to 70 beats per measure. If you are further along or more advanced, you can definitely start the metronome maybe 75, 80, or maybe even faster, 85. I mean, it may even be faster than that. Maybe the piece is at 150, so maybe you might want to start at 100. Now, with this metronome you may have a free metronome. You can go to Google and type it in. You may have an actual physical metronome, or you might be using one from the Musicnotes app. Whatever metronome you have, you definitely want to know the basic functions of that metronome. You want to know your start and stop button. You want to know what is the quarter note, and obviously the tempo. So when I was saying, between 65 to 70 beats per measure, I was saying 65 to 70 beats equals the quarter note. So you don't want to do anything faster than that, especially if you want to have this clean, precise phrasing on whatever instrument that you play. Now, the injured part, you don't want to have any injuries, so you definitely want to warm up beforehand. Warming up, I'm a percussionist, so I'm going to be warming up my wrist, but you may be a horn player or woodwind player. You want to do your exercises to make sure that your embouchure is not injuring you. And so yeah, I would definitely do your designated warm-ups beforehand. That's just as important as practicing, so don't skip that part. After you do your warm-ups may last 10 minutes, just warming up 10 to 15 minutes. Then you want to start whatever piece it is or whatever excerpt you're learning with that tempo. I like to call it tempo de lerno. How long would you do this for? Well, if you're already warmed up for 15 minutes, I would say this particular part of the practice, give it a fair half hour. So your total is 45 minutes. You may be thinking 30 minutes of just playing this very slow. As I said earlier, I got some tips for that. So let's talk about it. So first and foremost, with a practice tip or practice session like this, you want to have patience. You have to have patience for practicing this slow. And it can probably get frustrating. You don't want to be like this guy. You do want to be like this guy. Having that patience will go a long way. You may not even see the results right after that, that half-hour session, but trust me, you will definitely see the results eventually. You have to think long-term, so have patience. Now, do understand that when I'm doing this C major scale, I'm not doing it with a metronome, even though I had said earlier in the video, you want to practice with a metronome. I'm just showing this just for the, for the purpose of this video as an example, how to play it slow. That leads to my next point. Since it is a long, maybe it feels long type of a practice session, think of yourself as working out. Working out, you don't always see the results right away. So I mean, you're practicing at this tempo for a half hour. You're like, man, I could be doing this. I could be doing that. But you're not just practicing this excerpt at a slow tempo. You're also developing a muscle. So you're developing a muscle in your hands, or whether it's in your embouchure, you're developing a muscle in your mind. So all of that takes a little bit of time to kind of coordinate, because what you want to do is develop muscle memory. So it becomes automatic. When I played that C major scale, I didn't think about it. That was muscle memory. So if you have to think about it all the time, and maybe you might be playing something that's super difficult in school or super difficult on a concert, you want to have certain parts of that piece to be where you don't have to think about it, and that comes with developing muscle memory at a slow pace. So think of yourself as working out. You could be, maybe you don't go to the gym, but you might go for a walk or whatever the case is. You don't think about walking, you just do it. So you want it to be second nature. And so give yourself some time. Think of it as working out, because you're developing muscle memory. All right, so you might say, well, look, I did this for half hour. Do I have to do this for a half hour again? Well, it could get boring, and that I understand. So you might need to switch your routine up. Maybe start at a different part of that excerpt. Maybe start, I'm just gonna do the example of the C major scale. So I might wanna start at the top of the scale instead of the bottom of the scale. I might want to start in the middle of the scale and work my way up. Or I might want to do a pattern, create a pattern that I think is cool or fun, that'll just kind of keep the interest going, because you're talking about a slow tempo. So for my more ambitious musicians, you may be practicing longer than a half an hour. You may be practicing more than an hour. I don't know. I know I did it for hours. It was fun for me, so I did it for a long time. But but a half hour is good. Half hour a day, half hour every other day. But if you're doing more, definitely take a break. Like, congratulate yourself. Like, even if you're doing a half an hour, congratulate yourself. This is something that doesn't feel good. So you have to make yourself feel good. Even if it's just to think about, okay, I did this for a half hour, would have never thought about doing this. I don't know, drink some water, smile, congratulate yourself, read a book, take a break, play some games, whatever it is, you want to make sure that you're not getting bored with it, because it's a really uncomfortable space to just exist in for that long. But I will say that, let's say you start to play things perfectly at that tempo, start bumping it up, 5 metronome markings. So if you started at 75, bump it up to 80. If you're at 80, bump it up to 85, or maybe you started at 100, then bump it up to 105. When you're bumping up the metronome markings, give yourself time to bump it up. You might be, okay, I'm gonna bump it up in the same practice session. You may find that you bump it up and then you can't play it at that tempo perfectly or clean, pristine, however you want to call it. Bump it back down. Take your time. You're doing great. Just give yourself that patience and that grace to be like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna figure it out. However long it's gonna take me to figure out, let me figure it out. But as long as you figure it out correctly, that's the most important thing. Last but not least, have fun with it. Don't stress out. it may be harder to be relaxed about it because maybe you're preparing for a performance or some type of concert or recital. But the thing is that even if that day comes and you're still feeling nervous, just know that at the other end of that, you're going to be fine. It's a performance. It's you. It's your big day, and you still want to have fun with the music regardless. So have fun with the practice session because it'll show on stage. It'll show wherever you are, whether you're in your class or whether you're in your private lesson, that you had fun. So have fun with it. Maybe, like just dance while you play or something, like groove into it. Don't worry too much about the perfection of that, whatever you're working on. If anything, think about how you're just becoming a better player. Those are all of the practice tips that I have, but I do have one more thing to share. You may be working on an excerpt that's within the Musicnotes app. And if you didn't know, yes, Musicnotes have an app on the phone. You go to that app. Actually, I have my phone here, so I'll, load it up and just kind of give you an idea. But you may be working on, something that's in the Musicnotes database. Well, the good thing is that you can play it. You press the play button. There's an option for you to cut on the metronome and you can play along with it, or you can just listen, you can read it, or whatever it is. You can also learn the music right through your phone, whether it's your tablet or your laptop, through the Musicnotes app. So just be sure to check it out. You just go to Musicnotes in your app store, and there you have it. So that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed the tips. Let me know what you think. You may have some practice tips of your own. I would love to hear about it. Definitely comment below. I'll talk soon. Peace.